Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Not Now, Mom, I'm Gaming. My name is Kay, and this is our first part to a 100% gameplay review of my time at Sandrock. This is a fairly long game, so it's going to take me a while. I've been playing the game for a while now, and I only just got into the second year, and this part actually ends toward the end of summer, and it was a 5-hour long recording. So there's still a lot of things I need to cover just to get through to the end of the first year. I tried to cover a lot in this first part while sticking to what's actually happening in-game as I play it, but one thing I don't do is read all the letters. I might do that in later sections, but I'm not sure as of yet. So with that being said, here is the gameplay. First things first, we get to customize our character. Nothing says we're living in the desert like the look of a viper. And just so you know, there's a ton of character customization options, from skin, face shape, hair, eyebrow, eyes, ears, nose, mouth, facial hair, face tattoo, eyeshadow, blush, lipstick, all that kind of stuff. And if you don't want to bother with trying to fix your character up like this, then you can always press the randomize button. However, when I did it several times, it makes a scary looking character that just you don't want to play as, because they just no. The random gender is like a Picasso wannabe. While my character does look like a viper in this first part, it does switch over to a Pikachu look. I played this game for a while with this character, then I wanted kind of a fresh start for a full walkthrough. And since I hadn't saved the recordings for the full walkthrough, there's going to be bits and pieces of Pikachu material and then Pikachu material moving forward, which is weird to say. But yeah, it happens. I had a second walkthrough like this, all spoken out, a couple hours worth of footage to put online. But I got new components for my computer, and I did not transfer over my voiceover recordings, so I lost all those, and so then I had to just remake everything. So it's going to be mismatched in this podcast. It's fine though. It's still me trying 100% this game while giving a review of it. I also selected the typical birthday of mine, which is Winter 22. There's a cutscene of us entering Sandrock via train, and we're reading the newspaper. It says Builder Wanted. So, unlike with the usual farming simulator games, our uncle did not die, our grandpa did not die, our dad did not abandon a farm. We're literally going to Sandrock as a builder because someone else is leaving the town. When we get off the train, we're met with a second builder, Mian. What's interesting is there's not really a butting of heads here, so we're not really going against each other. Should we actually befriend her? We might even actually date her? But yeah, unlike with Portia and Higgins, we're actually both very friendly with one another. We help each other out in building stuff, and it's less stressful, honestly. You're brought over to meet with the commissioner of the Commerce Guild, as well as the builder that's actually leaving town and leaving you the pathetic shell of a workshop. Jan is incredibly lazy. He doesn't like confrontations either. And I honestly like him because, I don't even know how he gets commissions done. He doesn't do anything but sit in his desk all day with his feet propped up. He's a character that you'll either be annoyed by or you'll like him. Here's a bit of a look into his personality.
But don't think of me as your boss. Think of me more as, a buddy. That's your, supervisor.
Make no mistake, he only wants to be your friend because he'll throw more commissions onto you. The harder ones, mind you. He gets the simple ones. And then we have Mason here. You won't have to worry about Mason because...
Well, let's not get too friendly. I mean, am on my way out of here.
Yeah, I guess that's one less character to worry about, right? Regarding your workshop.
You may find it run down and dilapidated, ill-equipped, and it is certainly those things, but you may also find that the place has a lot of heart.
Sir, that heart has not been beating for a long time. After that botched introduction, Jan does bring up some good points of what you'll be doing in your time at Sandrock. First off, don't cut down the trees around town. If you want to cut down the trees, do it away from town. Otherwise, you'll instigate a meetup with Burgess, the water patrol officer, basically. You'll also be making a pick hammer as the first thing at your workshop, so you can break down scrap that's littered all around, basically. There is a scrapyard you can go into for a certain amount of payment, but around your house you can just break down the scrap that's available to you. When you head over to your work table, you'll notice that you can't make the pick hammer yet. You'll need some wood supplies, basically. As far as the work table goes, it's one of the only places you'll be able to craft and make items that doesn't use water or fuel. And the main screen you come into when you first approach your work table or any other of the crafting stations are your items you'll need for quests that you're on. So for this quest we need a pick hammer, thus the pick hammer is showing. But if you don't have any quests that need items, then it'll just bring up all the items you can make at the work table, as far as the level 1 work table goes. If you wanted to learn more things, there are items available at the Commerce Guild, which you'll need to buy them at some point later on. But when you're looking at the screen, the middle section below the pick hammer image shows what you need in order to craft that. And if you're not sure what those items are, you can hover over them and it'll tell you. On the right side of the screen is how many you own, which would be 0 right now, as well as if it's for a mission or something like that. Right now it doesn't say anything like that because it's technically not really a mission, I guess. But even on the left side, it'll show you how many you own, how many you can make, and all that stuff. It's one of the more simplistic crafting stations. While it is frowned upon to chop down the cacti, you can chop the grass that's growing as well as the bushes and the small round cactus, I think. But you can also kick the larger cacti for materials. After you've kicked 50 trees, you'll get the achievement Newton. Once you craft the pick hammer, a tooltip will come up. It'll show the quality, the item level, the equip effect, where it's from, if it can be used in the museum, as well as how much the item can sell for. In the future, you'll be able to get a crafting station that will enhance quality up to a certain point, which makes the item worth more. And some of the items can yield more effects to better benefit you. Also, when you use a better quality item and give it to someone who needs it from a commission, then you'll get more rewards. Before we speak with Jan, let's talk about the mailbox. Well, the mailbox is used to inform you of different events that are happening, such as fireside talks, holidays, meetups with different characters on what day, what time. You'll also get mail from either your friend or your parents. And what's interesting is when you read through it, there is a reply button. So you can choose one of the options of the replies listed to send back to them. And then they'll respond in turn later. I really like this idea of keeping contact with your parents, as well as your friends. When you turn in the quest to Jan, he's going to talk to you about the recycler, which you can craft at your assembly station. The recycler is going to be something that you'll probably have on all throughout the game. You'll almost always be collecting scrap, and all that scrap goes into the recycler to get different items that you might need. Said items might be able to be obtained through other means. However, if you can get it free from scrap, might as well do that instead of wasting resources elsewhere. When you check out the assembly station, you'll notice there are a lot of things you can craft. 4 pages, in fact. And there are 12 designs on one page, so figure that out. I do believe that the green background ones are those obtained via the research center through data disks, and the ones with the blue background are attained as you progress through the game. But if you need one of these machines for a quest, it'll usually have a exclamation point on it to make it easier on you. And there are tabs for either machines or other. As far as the diagrams themselves, you'll find the materials listed on the page, and if you don't really know what they are or where they come from, you can hover over the items. Plus there's a magnifying glass, so I think you can get more information on the diagram, or at least information on the crafting station piece. The most amazing thing that the devs did that they didn't implement in my time at Porsche is the fact that you don't have to hold your items in order to craft at the assembly station. As long as you have said items in your inventory or stashed away in storage somewhere, they can be used to craft the station in question. Thank God for that. So you don't have to go around looking for where the said item is and how many of that item you need. You just approach the outline of the construct and place the materials where they need to be. When you approach the recycler, you can see all the amount of scrap that you're able to produce items from and what items that you'll be able to produce. The annoying thing is the fuel. Not really the fuel itself. You have a variety of items to choose from for which type of fuel you want, and depending on the fuel is how long the machine will be in use. So some fuels last longer. But on top of this fuel for the machine itself, you'll also need to keep track of your water supply. Burgess will come around in the morning after and talk to you a little bit about it. But this is the part in the game where you're going to have to pay attention to both the crafting stations and their fuel supply, as well as how much water you have in the water tower of yours. I always found this a little bit annoying in the beginning of the game, but it gets easier as you progress. The game wouldn't be complete without a little tour around town. So next morning you're met with Jasmine, and she will escort you around town if you'd like. The town's pretty easy to navigate, honestly. I do still get turned around, despite having 50 plus hours in this game, but that's just me and my directional problems. But at least you'll get a feel for the town that you're living in. The first place she'll take you to is the Yakmel Ranch.
Oh, you can see the Yakmel over there. I like to say hi to them every day. Sometimes they even say hi back, but it sounds like moo.
The next stop you'll go on tour is Martle's Oasis.
Ta-da! This is Martle's Oasis. Miss Martle was the first mayor of Sandrock, and she found this oasis a long time ago. We all drink this water, so don't step in it.
Next stop is City Hall.
The first thing you will notice about City Hall is that it's very big. Grown-ups often go into this building and talk a lot.
The final stop is the church.
Most of us come here every Sunday to sing and listen to Minister Matilda tell us not to do bad stuff.
After the tour, I turned in my quest to Jan, and here's what he had to say.
The main thing to take away here is that from now on, whenever you have questions, you can just consult your workshop handbook and definitely not ask me anything related to building whatsoever. Yes, I'll be far, far too busy to handle your questions.
Have you decided to hate him or like him yet? Before we go to Town Hall or City Hall, we're going to talk about the commissions board. You'll have a variety of commissions to look at taking, and each one has a star on it, so the more stars, it's probably the more difficult, as well as better rewards you'll obtain. Personally, I think you should stick with what you know you can make, because if you grab that sand hat and you don't have the right equipment to make it, then that's just a waste. As of right now, at the beginning, you're only allowed to have one regular commission. As you get better at commissions, you are able to get 2 commissions at a time. And then there's a talent. And then there's a point you can place in your talent tree that allows for more commissions as well. But basically here, you want to get your rep up with citizens, as well as money, of course, experience, and workshop reputation. The higher ranking in a workshop you are, the better the rewards at the end of the month, and then the end of the year. You know you want to top Yan. Come on. Before you approach City Hall, you might notice a blue circular area on the mini-map, as well as the map if you looked. These blue circular areas signify a cinematic event if you approach it. So if you want to kind of do your own thing on a certain day and not have any events trigger, then you might want to avoid the blue circular areas if you can. I like that they do give you a heads up this way, but sometimes they can sneak up on you, especially if you exit your house. But when we approach City Hall here, we'll get to meet a character called Pen.
It is decided. I, the magnificent Pen, the protector of Sandrock, as of 5 seconds ago, have taken it upon myself to offer you a combat lesson.
As far as combat in this game goes, you get 4 different variety of weapons, not including a gun, that you can choose from. And each one of these weapons has its own little talent point section if you want to upgrade parts of it. And of course, every weapon has its own playstyle. As far as combat in general, it's not that great. I mean, you can lock on, you can kind of shoot forward a little bit to an enemy if you're a little bit far away. But if they're on a different level than you, then you won't hit them. So especially in the ruins areas, you could be in a lower section and have an enemy pop up. And if they're on like a top section, you can't hit them. Even if you're locked onto them, it's like you have to jump up and be on their level. And sometimes it just doesn't work in this game. Taking the ruins into example again, sometimes an enemy will spawn, and they're pretty rare. So when you don't get to attack them and they disappear, because they will if you don't hit them enough times, it's really annoying. And of course, at the end of the combat tutorial, Pen whoops her ass. But the thing that makes me not like Pen the most at the very beginning isn't like his arrogance, it's the fact that he calls me this.
Farewell, skinny arms.
I'm level 3, you asshole. At least Matilda's nice when you approach her about registering your workshop. And by doing so, you can give your workshop a name, which can always be changed later. As you head toward Yan to turn in your quest, there's a cutscene of him about to get his ass beaten.
Listen here, you lazy mopstick. Me and my boys have had it up to here with your excuses. Where's our lift, huh?
Oh, look! Rocky, old buddy, old pal!
Don't you buddy me, pal. Since Mason's leaving, you promised me you'd do it yourself. First it was you had a cold, and then it was your turtle beans. And today I find out you don't even got a turtle. Do you understand how much money I'm losing here? So now, I gotta give you a beatdown. Sorry, pal, but it's a company policy.
Wait, no, Rocky, look! Well, what I really meant is, I was bringing in new people to take special care of your commission. Look, here they are.
Here we are indeed. So this is the first huge commission of the game. Rocky needs 2 crane lifts within Paradise Lost, which is a place you'll be paying to go into in order to get into some ruins, as well as to gather some scrap from the scrapyard. But you know, since we need supplies in order to craft the crane lifts, he's gonna give us a week pass to enter the ruins and such. This is the part of the game where you'll also be building a furnace in order to craft bars. Now, even though Rocky needs 2 crane lifts, you'll only need to build 1, because Mian will take care of the other one, which is again why it's nice that you two aren't competing against one another. On day 3, I got a visit from Burgess, who kind of talks about the water supply.
I'm pretty sure builder machines won't run without water in their water tank. So I guess that means we'll be seeing a lot of each other in the future.
Thank you, Burgess, for breaking my heart. As you gather supplies and mine your way through junk piles, you're going to notice something. Your bags are getting full. Inventory management is kind of like a must in this game. There are so many items. And even at the beginning of the game, you get so many different items. You gotta upgrade your inventory for new spaces. You have to craft a bunch of storage boxes if you want to put stuff away. You'd be surprised how many items are in this game just from going through ruins and digging through junk piles. As I was scrounging for some different items, I came across Elsie, who happens to be trying to sandfish. You know what she calls us?
Come on, you old geezer!
First skinny arms, now old geezer. Sandfishing is a bit beyond us right now, so let's go ahead and look at our talent points, or knowledge points. So I like what they did here. They separated it into 4 different categories. You got your gathering, combat, social, and crafting, I think. And each one of those gives you a variety that you can choose from as far as where to put your talent points. And even though you're leveling up throughout the game, just because you level up doesn't mean you will get a point to use. The points are specific to their categories. So if you talk to a bunch of people and give them gifts and, earn their favor and all that, then you'll get more knowledge points in the social tab than you would the other tabs. Basically, leveling up is good for increasing your stats, while the real leveling up in the knowledge point section is actually going out and doing stuff, being productive. Now, we did get a letter from Owen, so I went ahead and visited him for some food. Free food.
I've been meaning to catch up with you since you moved in, but I guess you and Mianne have been busy with all that's been going on of late. As a small token of my appreciation, I'd like to offer you some food and drinks on the house.
And while we're dining, Owen lets us ask questions about Sandrock to give us some idea of the place that we're living in. At 6 o'clock is the fireside meeting, where you can kind of mingle with a bunch of other townsfolk and talk to them, get your rep up a little bit. And of course, the 2 new builders are being introduced.
Let's give it up for our new builders!
By day 5, I was able to complete the crane lift.
I gotta tell you, those 2 lifts you made are running like a dream. Looks like Yan finally did something right hiring the 2 of you.
Damn right he did. And because the 2 lifts are working now, we can finally go ruin diving. That is to say, we can go into the abandoned ruins and mine up copper as well as tin. Not to mention relic pieces and all the things that come from mining in the area. The ruins are a bit different in this game than they are in Portia. First off, there are different levels, or layers. Each layer grants you specific items that you're capable of getting, and each layer is kind of made up of several rooms. So sometimes you'll have to dig in order to find the doorway to the next room. When you go through a black section, that means you're going into the next layer. You will find ore in these layers. It is a lot better to mine the ore than it is to just mine the whole area, because you're not going to get as much, say, copper or tin ore that way. They're going to get you a lot more from the ore itself. As you mine the ore, sometimes there will be a rat that pops out, and you can kill this guy for different material. But if you don't kill him, he'll disappear. Kind of like the gold goblin in Diablo 3, if anyone remembers that. Something else you can do before heading into the ruins is upgrading your devices, both the treasure detector and the jetpack. I went a long time without upgrading these things because they don't really need it. And I don't really scan the treasures all that long because it's worth it just to get all of them. The floors are not that deep. If you see a treasure further ahead of you, it's never that far. The treasures are really, really tiny compared to the ones in My Time at Portia. There is one thing I really don't like in these ruins, and that's when you're mining some of the ore, it doesn't automatically go to the next ore. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So while you're mining like one of the larger ores, and then you want it to go to the smaller ore, it'll start hitting the area around it, which then creates a gap. And sometimes it makes it harder to get that one node that you need to get to. Now, one of the pros of going into the next layer are the vending machines. If you didn't bring food with you for stamina, they have vending machines at the start of each layer where you can get products that provide plus stamina, which if you have the money for them is really nice. Day 7 we were greeted with a sandstorm and a pen.
Greetings, skinny arms. No doubt you've noticed the countless granules of sand being mercilessly tossed about. This is what we in the business call a sandstorm.
When sandstorms are active, you can wear sand gear to help protect you, and that way you can run around outside without needing to worry about it. However, there are elite monsters out running around during sandstorms, which is a good way to get a whole bunch of loot if you can defeat them. And if you're wondering why Penn doesn't have any sand gear on him,
To an experienced hero such as myself, these raging sands are but a gentle massage on my chiseled jawline.
and in case you were thinking that Burgess wouldn't see you chopping down cacti in a sandstorm, think again.
Why, if I saw you chopping down trees, I don't know if I would want to be your friend anymore. I'm sure a lot of people around town would feel the same way.
I'd say I'm okay with that, but he kind of controls the water in town, so don't do it. I went toe-to-toe with one of the elite wild yak mills, the one that I believe Penn mentioned. They're not too difficult to beat. It was a level 11, but they scale with whatever your level is, if I'm not mistaken. While they aren't too difficult to beat, especially when you realize their methods of attack and how to avoid them, it takes a lot of stamina to bring them down, especially if you're a lower level and you used up some of your stamina already. I recommend going into battle elites with a higher amount of stamina, or at least with stamina food on you. Next up, I went to chat with Venti, who had a quest. She was a little sketchy to me with what she was saying, offering to go into the junkyard for free instead of buying a pass. I thought she was going behind Rocky's back, but apparently not, and it was okay.
Since we're already good friends, I must give you special treatment. For example, next time you come to dig for scrap in our salvaging company's scrapyard, there won't be any charge.
So it doesn't seem like anybody in this game's here to fuck you over, such as with Higgins and Portia. The day after a sandstorm is a day of disaster, where everyone is cleaning and building things, repairing stuff, wiping away sandy areas. Mian, bless her, asks us if we're okay after that sandstorm, and then leads us over to the stage outside the Blue Moon, which has been destroyed. Owen is clearly devastated.
My beautiful stage.
Turns out the stage was meant for Mason's going away party. What a shame, we can't have that now since it's broken. Good thing we're builders and can fix things in a timely manner to get him the hell out of here, right? You can choose between a stage backdrop or stage support. Whichever one you choose, the Mian will choose the opposite. It really doesn't matter. I went into the Commerce Guild where Elsie is staging an intervention.
Oh shucks, another one of you? Alright, that's it. This is an intervention. I'm taking the two of you out to do something fun. No commissions allowed.
This is kind of where we see Elsie's personality shine for the first time, aside from when she called us old geezer, by mistake. At first she wanted to go mountain climbing and crap like that, but Mian recommended gaming instead, to which Elsie replied,
What? Huh? Games? But that's kid stuff.
Elsie caves and decides to supervise us, but instead of first going to the gaming center, I approach Katori with the fragment of a relic from the ruins, since she's the one in charge of the relic museum in this game. She mentions the restoration machine at the museum, which is kind of like the same thing as the one in Portia. I head to the gaming center, and the first game is Whack-A-Mole. It's pretty easy, just to whack the moles that pop up, and you can use your skill in order to become like a tornado and just hit multiples at once. By getting over 100 points in Whack-A-Mole, you get the achievement Mole Masher. When we get done, Elsie is missing, so we go ahead and go inside and see what kind of gamer she really is.
Yeehaw! Get wrecked, yo scrub! What the? I lost? Let's go again, you dumb machine!
Yeah, that sounds about right. So after playing some games, we decided to go to the Blue Moon to get something to eat. First off, however, I decided to go into the museum since it's right across from the gaming center. The restoration machine is tucked away on the right side, but what you'll really notice is the museum is incredibly small compared to Porsche's. I mean, there's a lot more room for small objects than there is for large and medium. So with that being said, if you want to put items into the museum, you'll have to place them in storage. If you place them in storage, then they won't be on display, but the museum will still own them. Which means if you go to the little cash shop, however many items the museum owns, you'll get a reward for a certain amount. It's just really sad that the museum's so small, but you can honestly place a ton of stuff here, including outfits and things you make at the work table and such. Alright, at the diner, Elsie goes off to get us a surprise, and I'm left with ordering food. There are requirements to ordering this food. Has to be more than 40 goals, must include 1 appetizer and 1 meat dish, and must include sweet food. After you have those things, then you can just buy it and it'll be good to go. Elsie's surprise turns out to be some sort of prank to scare us.
Woo! Y'all should have seen the look on y'all's faces. You were all like, ah!
Yeah, she's kind of a bit of a troublemaker, honestly. Mion ends the dinner with telling you to offer gifts to townsfolk before, like, inviting them some places. You know, be nice, courteous, earn your reputation with them. At our mailbox, there's a letter regarding medical trials at the clinic that we can partake in every Wednesday and Friday if we want. I haven't mentioned it yet, but Cheese Research Center is where you'll be researching machines for your farm. This is also a bit more unique than Porsche. You get to choose which machine you want to learn, and they can take several days to learn, but if you want to speed it up, you can offer more data disks to do so. The cost of, like, the lower portion of machines to speed up the time is an insane amount of data disks. But if you mine a lot in the ruins, then you're going to get a ton of data disks anyway. But you've got 2 tabs to choose from, the items you want to make. Personally, I think it's a lot better than giving him data disks and never knowing what you're gonna get, which is what happened in Porsche. I went out and chased down Mian for her quest. I hate chasing her. She's like as fast as me when I run. She wants to do some charity work for the town, fixing things that people aren't commissioning for reasons. So I basically just had to prepare specific materials. Next I found Burgess trying to climb a barbed wire pole, no questions asked. And he wants me to fill out a survey. So, you know, go ahead and choose your appropriate answers. And his judgy little self will go ahead and judge you over them. In fact, here's his judgment of me.
Well, the bad news is, you're not quite ideal Sandrock citizen material. But the good news is, you have lots of room for improvement.
Oh boy, Burgess, I can't fucking wait. Anyway, he tells you about there being sand on the temple garden, and the fact to clear sand, we need a feather duster. The feather duster will also help out our own machines when a sandstorm hits and it gets sand on them. Since I'm on a roll, I go see Elsie next. She talks about getting on a horse for the day. We just had to talk to her pa. I don't think her pa is down for the idea.
Well, now, my little butter muffin sweetie pie, I'd love to help out you and your friend here, but you know we don't lend out no horses for free.
After some sweet talking, he decides to lend us a horse for free. At this point, when you're riding around, you're gonna realize that horses make travel time so much better than just running everywhere. I hated when the week was over and I didn't have the horse anymore, because whenever I ran places, like, good lord, why does it take so long? And the only reason it takes so long is because you rode a horse. and realize they're faster than you. Of course, all you really need to do to get a horse is to build a stable at your farm and then get a horse. So it's an easy fix, but until then, it's kind of a taunt. Afterwards, I speak with Vivi, who wants me to give Mort some fish, due to her hands being full at the moment. Mort is someone that you can easily forget to talk to all the time, because he's in the back at the graveyard, along with where the museum and the game center and the clinic is. It's a place you just aren't really going to go to all that often. Next up, I visited Heidi because she sent me a letter. She's the person to go to when you want to upgrade your home, as well as the different constructs in your home. You just have to interact with the book that's on the table behind her. The home customization interface was really confusing to me. After a while, once you get the hang of it, it'll be a lot easier, but knowing that you have a lot of things to tinker with, and knowing you don't have all that much money to do the tinkering, it just kind of messes you up a little bit. And anything you do to your house on the screen, it's done to it. Unless you undo decorations, undo all the decorations you did, if you exit out of this little interface, whatever you did to your home, whether you were just messing with it or not, it's done to your home. So make sure you know what you want to do, if you want to keep it how it is right now, or if you want to add additions. Alternatively, if you have a lot of gold and a lot of items, there are templates that you can choose from to make your home look like a specific home style. Of course, these are for when you're much later in the game. Next up, I head to an area with a scene regarding Burgess and Penn. They're having an not really argument. I guess they're having a conversation regarding Burgess needing to learn combat. Yeah, can you see Burgess wielding daggers and going up to someone? Anyway, you only need to make a sword and shield and hand it in to Penn, who didn't need it after all. After that, since I'm by the temple, I go ahead and use the feather duster I created to wipe away the dust, for which Burgess thanks me. Time to head to the clinic.
Can actually do it.
Aching back.
I'm good, Doc. I'm good.
Yeah, it's healed. Surely a bird would never mislead us.
Here we meet Fang and his bird X. Fang doesn't really talk all that much. He's rather quiet, but X talks a lot. And you'll notice that sometimes he uses different voices, the fact that he's mimicking someone that we don't know, as of right now. But I really love these two characters. I think it's the fact that they're so mysterious. Unfortunately, at this part of the game, there was a cutscene to kind of introduce the both of them to you, maybe, but my game froze during the cutscene, like before it even happened. And then it unfroze when I guess the cutscene was over with. So that kind of sucked. That happens quite a lot in this game to me. Things just freeze when they're not supposed to. And I gotta wait like 30 seconds for something to happen. And there was one time I had to exit out the game and then come back in. So there's a lot of kinks to be worked out. But you'll want to come over and do these little experiments every Wednesday and Friday that you can in order to kind of get reputation up with Fang. You cannot give Fang any gifts until a certain point in the game. He'll just refuse them. And the only way to give X gifts is if he's not on Fang's shoulder. So sometimes the two will be walking separate, flying, whatever, out in the open world, looking for stuff. Other times they'll be inside the clinic, separate. But when they're together, you can only talk to Fang and not X. So I decided to try my hand at sand fishing. In order to do this, you'll need to be holding your sandfish trap. And what you do is throw out the bait first, then wait for the fish to come around. I did not realize that was a kingfish, but it wouldn't have mattered because I don't have an upgraded sandfish trap, so I probably wouldn't have been able to get it anyway. But yeah, there was a missed opportunity there. At the beginning of the game, what the hell? It's really difficult to grab them while they're just freely swimming because you can't really depict where they're gonna go. And each sandfish area requires certain bait in order to attract fish's attention. So here you can use worms. You'll want to try to catch them while they are nibbling on the bait. But you'll need to have the bait on your person in order to fish, and you'll need to be holding the sandfish trap. Going back to the kingfish, they are incredibly rare in this game. And I think if you have your luck up, that kind of helps. You have a luck stat. But I've 50 plus hours in this game. I haven't fished all that much, but what I have fished, I've only seen 2 kingfish. And that's just from this pond right here. So don't think they're as easy to find as they are in Portia, because they're not. Going back into the ruins, Scrooge McMole is the enemy that might pop up while you're mining ore. And another con with this game, you can't switch items on your toolbar very quickly. There's always a pause. Like if you wanted to go from the pickaxe to the weapons, you have to wait a moment. And during that waiting time, the mole can disappear. I don't know why it takes so long to go from one piece of equipment to the other, but it does. It was time to deliver Mort's salted fish. And like I said, Mort is in the graveyard part of town, so it's not a place you'll be really visiting all that often, but I really like his character. This is also a character that has 2 different voice actors, I feel like. For when he's having a conversation, there's one, and then when you just speak with him for one of those one-liners, it sounds like a completely different voice. Anyway, as a thank you, he invites you into his home for some tea, it looks like. Tea and conversation. Earlier, Owen wanted me to look for a sign from the stage, and it's crowded by a bunch of rocket roosters. Be careful, as they do shoot rockets at you. Once they are dispatched, grab the sign and install it where it needs to be. Since I can't seem to get enough of him, here's a cutscene with Penn regarding the wanted man Logan, the face of evil. Technically, he just tells us a little bit about Logan being an outlaw and such, and, a no-good criminal. But we're also asked to place these wanted posters all around town. While going to put a sign up at the Paradise Lost section that's blocked off, I come across a scene with Unsure. This is apparently the entrance to the ruins that's closed off due to there being machines and such. The only reason Unsure is posted here is because there's a lock on the door that's broken, and they don't want anyone entering, despite me being a builder able to fix it. If there's not a commission on the board to fix it, then I'm not allowed to fix it, which is stupid. If I really wanted to, I could just climb the damn fence. I return to Penn while everyone's in church, which is the perfect moment to just have conversations with everyone. There's also a podium in here that you can donate money to, and depending how much money you donate is the amount of reputation that goes up with certain townsfolk. I hadn't looked at it before, but going back to the news board, you can actually put in an ad on the bottom right to increase your income or get any other random bonus effects. It lasts a week, and it doesn't really cost that much. So it's pretty beneficial if you just constantly do commissions every day. I don't know when I took the commission, but apparently RVO wanted a sunshade near the oasis so we can, chillax there. It took a while, but I'm finally able to craft the stage support on the 17th. And instead of installing it, it's time to take Venti up on her offer of going into the scrapyard for free. You don't need any energy for this because the game automatically gives you enough in order to salvage one of the sections. And it's the section near Venti. So don't just think you can go in there and dig all willy-nilly like I did. After you've broken down the junk pile, Venti will give you her scraps that she got, and then you guys can call it a day. Or a night. Now it's time to build the stage support with Mian.
Fancy seeing you here. Since we're both finished, let's put the stage back in business.
Now you just need to tell Minister Matilda that it's completed, as if she won't notice it.
Since Mason's in a hurry to get out of town, let's just hold his farewell party tomorrow morning. I'm sure I can get everyone together, even on such short notice. You won't miss it, right?
No, Matilda, I will not miss Mason leaving. At a certain point in gaining relationship value for Chi, instead of going into the ruins as usual, you'll be taking a fall into them and finding him stuck in the same situation. Which I always thought was a little weird, him doing his own field work, since I don't see him as the kind of person to want to go out and get his hands dirty. He seems so far like the type who would rather request others do things for him, and so seeing him in the ruins seems slightly out of character. But I guess if you got no help and really want something bad enough, you'll do it yourself, which he proved here. However, seeing as he's stuck, instead of figuring out a plan, he's decided to wait on Civil Corps to help. Even though they don't know he's down here.
Well, this is a surprise. I predicted the Civil Corps would show up any minute now to rescue me, but I didn't expect them to send some random individual. Nevertheless, you're here now. Proceed with your extraction plan. I won't complain. You do have a plan, right? Wait. By the look on your face, perhaps you're not a rescuer, but a fellow prisoner instead. Oh. Okay, well, you can join the club and sit over there while we wait for the proper authority to appear.
Smart people aren't always smart. This is the area where you'll find Chi's pick hammer, which is a rare piece of equipment that you'll definitely be wanting to use now instead of your starting pick hammer, as it provides several bonuses. After that, our job is to gather all ladder pieces and break down the scrap piles in the area. At the end of the room is where you'll assemble the ladder and leave. Once out, Chi requests you find the pieces to an equatorial mount, which starts showing up at the 5th layer in the ruins. You might need to reset a layer once or twice in order to get all the parts you need, which costs a small amount of money to do. Once you've obtained all the pieces, go to the museum and piece them together with the restoration machine and give the model to Chi to hear him get all brainy on you.
Finally, this is it. 68-degree latitude range. Ultra-fine axis controls. It's got to be accurate at least to 7 arc seconds. And do you hear that? Exactly. Silence. But if you place your ear just so, you can hear the motor drive purring like a diminutive kitten.
Now, going back to the whole relationships with people, since Chi's event was triggered by boosting his relationship with us to a certain extent, there's a couple ways you can do it. The first is by doing commission work for them, which, if you're trying to up your relationship with one person, isn't always a viable method. However, I found one of the interesting things you can do when finishing a commission for someone is to go to their place, obviously. But if you can enter their room and they're sleeping, you can speak to them in order to wake them up so you can complete the commission. Yes, that's right. You can drag their ass out of bed in order to be paid. The second way to get rep up is to give characters gifts. This is sort of a figure it out yourself kind of thing, unless you look at a guide, obviously, but some of the characters are a little obvious in what they'd like, such as X would like shiny things, and Katori might like restored relics. But here's the catch. You can't keep gifting them the same thing every day, like you could have done in Portia. The more you get them the same item in Sandrock, the less thrilled they are to receive it. So you're going to need to switch it up every so often if you plan on giving them gifts on a daily basis. When you choose the gift option, the acquaintance bar will appear, showing how well acquainted with them you are. So that's a good way to see where you're at with them, I guess. The third way to up the relationship status with characters is to play cards with them. Normally, I don't like card games within games, specifically looking at you, Gwent. I actually like the card game in my time at Sandrock just because it's easy and quick and done in 3 rounds. All you have to do is choose a card, all of them are depicted as an animal, cat, mouse, elephant, fox, and hope that you win against the opposing card 4 times. It's like rock, paper, scissors in card format. Elsie had a quest for me, but when I reached her, she said this.
Say, how'd you like to get in on a little secret? Here's the scoop. I may or may not be in the possession of information that may or may not lead to the capture of something big, real big. Something simply known in the Yak Girl community as it. But I'm afraid that's all I can say for now. I'll let you know how it goes. See ya!
I don't understand the nature of the beginning to this quest, as it really doesn't give you anything to go on. Even as something that's secretive, it's not done in a way that makes me overly curious. More like annoyed that I had to chase her down just to have her run off after giving me nothing more than the title of something named It. Am I supposed to think it's going to be Stephen King kind of scary with that title? Also, by Yak Girl community, I'm pretty sure she's implying herself in a self-important way. So, yeah, I guess we'll just have to wait on that and try not to forget about it. Alright, we left off the last recording of this game on a Mason's going away party cliffhanger, so here's Mason's exciting goodbye speech.
A few words, Mason? It appears our dear Mason is overwhelmed with emotion.
Personally, I say good riddance. He left us with a shit workshop and now he's leaving town with a shit attitude. Well, you can listen in on conversations around the stage of different people. What I really like here is the music. Next up, there's a scene between Owen and Jan, where Jan is trying to milk Owen out of money for an overnight commission. It seems Grace and Kitchens don't do well together, and she...
And, long story short, blew the whole kitchen to smithereens.
Yeah, maybe don't let her in the kitchen anymore. During this conversation, the rudest thing happened. The local camel with speakers attached to her just ambles into us and can't seem to get through while her speakers are going off. Seriously, who thought it was a good idea to have a camel ambling through town hooked up with loud, obnoxious speakers? Back to Owen's problem. Despite paying Jan, Grace wants a pay cut until the bill is paid off, but Owen wants to talk her out of it because she's just a student and it's a pretty hefty bill. Especially with overnight commissions being so expensive, according to Jan. Our job is to basically go along with what Owen says in order to talk Grace out of wanting to pay things off herself. Yes, you can choose wrong answers here and fail the quest, which just serves as a reminder that this game is a choices matters when it comes to failing or succeeding with certain quests. I wanted to see how proud Jan was of me with crafting the stage, and he said this.
Look at that stage! Yet another fine example of Sandrock Commerce Guild craftsmanship. My management skills have been tip-top lately. How do I do it? How do I do it?
Nobody knows, Jan. Literally nobody knows.
Huh? You're back? Listen, I wasn't joshing. I said I'll let you know how it goes. Now buzz off and go build something. You'll scare off it.
I have a quest to complete for her, and this is what she begins the conversation with. Seriously, are we supposed to like her? Does anyone like her? Because I don't. Not when she wanted a builder for a stupid commission, she comes up with that first thing. By the way, directly after I gave her a shiny scorpion to boost her rep with me by 17 points. I'm only in it for the benefits, I swear. I enjoy getting presents on my birthday. You'll see what I mean. After rebuilding the stage, we get a letter in the mail that reads, Dear Kay, it was pretty neat how you rebuilt the stage after the sandstorm. Actually, you've done a lot of cool things since you got here. Already, Mason's old place looks a lot better than when he lived there. The way he decorated his yard with garbage, I mean, you have to admit it was original, but it just wasn't for me. You're a lot nicer than he is, too. I like how you're always working hard and helping people out. It's a refreshing change of pace. If everyone in the world were more like you, well, at the very least, we'd have a lot of stages. Anyway, here's an opal. You don't have to thank me. I hope it can be the kind of pal that makes you say, oh, as the name implies. A secret guy who thinks you're cool. I think it's interesting how they'd like to remain anonymous in their secret admirer way. Also, see, they didn't like Mason either. I think Matilda's just being nice because she has to. When entering the research center, no doubt to throw more data disks Cheese way, I came across a scene that proves not everyone can handle Cheese demands for work.
You're here for the interview too? Just run away while you still can! He's crazy! Crazy, I tell ya!
Luckily for him, I'm up for the task of assistant. Just not today. Tomorrow. We get to help Mian one morning with fixing some portions of the town, starting with the floorboards at the train station, to the fencing around the oasis, and setting up benches along the main area outside the town hall. The thing I'm disappointed in here is the fact that we did all this for the citizens, but we only get reputation with Mian. Shouldn't a lot of the townsfolk be grateful for what we did? You'd think so. Our next scene we come across at our workshop is with Amira, who struggles with carrying a vase and trips over a rock. We stop her from falling on the shards, and she gives us the most heartfelt look we've ever received in our life. At this point, it tells us that multiple events are activated, which means after this scene, we'll want to go in our house and exit in order for the next event to trigger. On one hand, it's an interesting system they put in place to ensure you can do one after another instead of multiple events, engaging one after another without a scene transition into your home. But on the other hand, it's a little bothersome because if you don't pay attention to the short prompt of multiple events, you might just forget and either miss the events or start them a day later. Sometimes you don't want to start them later, but I'm going to guess a lot of times it won't matter too much. Amira herself needs help with her shop, and so we're going to deliver clay to her shop twice a week. Honestly, we get enough of it, so there's no point not doing the manial task. And if that wasn't exciting enough, we now get Logan and his henchmen hijacking a train and keeping people hostage while they search for something. It's a lot more intense of a game than Portia at this point, I think, because even if we could wield guns in Portia, we weren't really ever pointing them at people in specific. At least not that I know of. But Sandrock doesn't really hold back here with Logan and Haru. I guess in a way it makes sense since it's a desert and in the Wild West people were always carrying. But when you think of a farming/life sim game, you don't think of this kind of stuff happening. Does it make Logan a sexy character? Probably. Might be too soon to tell though. The two bad guys end up escaping and using hang gliders to make their getaway through the cliff. And that is one steep fissure showing the long past buildings of old. Back to business as usual. Just kidding. Because justice is surrounded by the folk that were on the train at the time Logan infiltrated it. And for some reason, even though they saw what went down, nobody really saw what happened.
I saw a fire in that man's eyes. A burning desire for vengeance that sent chills through my very essence.
All right, pal. Did you see anything that will hold up in a court of law?
Not to that effect. No, I didn't.
And then there's Ernest, a reporter from the Atara Times. Boy, he got lucky with being on the train when all this went down, didn't he? Imagine the story he can make out of this, if only justice would answer his questions.
Dang, you don't get out much, do you, partner? First off, I'm the sheriff around these parts. Captain's the cat. Second, I'm the one asking the questions here, not the other way around.
Now it's time to be Chee's personal maid service and clean out the place. Unfortunately for me, I had a hell of a time trying to figure out where the last place to clean was, as it didn't really occur to me that the downstairs near the door would be a viable area for cleaning. You'd think his entire area to clean would remain on the main floor, where his researching material is, as well as the upstairs. But no. You'll have to also go downstairs where nothing is, and it took me way too long to figure that out. But hey, at least we got a rare feather duster. When he tells us to clean the cabinet, it all goes to shit. He doesn't get too upset, but what he wants us to do next is a little absurd.
Take the relics from the shelf with care observe, and research. The information gathered should be divided into appearance, form, and assigned research value. It is then written in the preliminary report in VGA format. Since it is your first day, I will not assign you too many. We're aiming to focus on quality rather than quantity. 50 reports should be adequate.
Thankfully, DNB comes in to rescue us from the mad scientist. Except we have a choice of either to continue our research with Chi, which will boost our rep with him, or make him understand that we're a builder and not an actual assistant, which will negate our rep with him. It's a little twisted because we really are a builder first, and he doesn't want to acknowledge that fact. I like Chi, I really do, but science is his field, and sometimes it all just gets to his head with the work he does and wanting to research things. He doesn't like to look beyond it, and a lot of people don't understand his passion. It's kind of sad. Thanks to D&B, we have a fallen bench to fix near the church. Not really a huge deal, but I guess it's better than writing reports. And since Logan broke the train's window, it's time for us to fix it. Even though Jan was kind of against it at first.
Jensen called me over all in a huff. Where, my poor widow twain? Normally I wouldn't entertain, let alone reward such babery. But Matilda was standing right there. So, yeah, better get it done quick.
The next day, Gigglers are attacking, with the Giggler manager being Employee of the Month and what looks like a romanceable character going by the heart by his name. Really? Are we really going to be able to flirt with a lizard man, but not the bear guy and Portia? We're going with Scalies over furries in this game. Before we check out the commotion, the traveling salesman is here, and he's only here for a few days, starting on the 20th of each month. I love this guy. Louis can be a bit of an ass. I just really like his voice and the mask he wears.
I wear a different mask for each city-state, you know. Why? Buy enough from me and maybe I'll tell you. Keep meeting me across the land and maybe you'll even see what's underneath.
His shop offers a variety of things that you're unable to get from any vendor in Sandrock, but more importantly are the large storage boxes. He only has 3, and being near the beginning of the game with so many materials right now, they're a godsend for space. Instead of the single page space of your average wooden boxes that you can craft, these have 2 pages and a bit more than twice the space of your normal wooden box. Our viewer requires us to do an errand for him, probably because he's too busy sleeping to run to the Blue Moon Saloon, and we just happen to wake him up at the perfect time. But all it entails is us delivering his goods within 24 hours. Owen thanks us for delivery with a free Yakima milk. In the Commerce Guild on Saturdays and Sundays, you can check items for defects with a Spot the Difference game. Sort of the same thing as in Portia, but I feel like some of the items at Sandrock and the minuscule areas that are different offer a lot more of a challenge, and not really in a good way. Not only that, but if you see a problem on one side, then you have to click on it exactly, or it doesn't count and you get a miss for it. Meaning it's not lenient if you're just a little out of its range. You'd think the fact that you can magnify and zoom and move around and rotate things, that it'd be easier to see problems, but even with a hint on one, it showed me where the problem was, but even after clicking on the area, nothing happened. I tried so hard to find out where the problem was. But it was a glaring yellow, so I couldn't see any specific spots to click on, and I failed because of it. So the hint system is not that great at times, and the spot where you have to click has to be on the nose. No thanks. Bring back the ease of which was Portia. I think due to this moment of just being infuriated by not being able to tell where things were, where the difference was, I don't really come in here on Saturday and Sunday to do the Spot the Difference game. Not only that, but if you forget about it, you basically just forget about it. What's to remind you that there's a Spot the Difference game there? Because I think in Portia, you're unable to get commissions on Saturday and Sunday. And so it's a reminder that, hey, you can do the Spot the Difference here. But in Sandrock, you can still do commissions on every single day. So it's yeah. The Spot the Difference game is in the background, and you forget about it. When we go to the oasis where Giggler threw stuff at Burgess, he asks us to clean up the trash.
Do you mind helping out with the trash around the oasis? The longer they're in the water, the higher the risk of contamination, so we must hurry.
When you're done and speak with Burgess, he acts like he never asked you to help out in the first place, and you did it on a whim to help the town.
Hey, I saw you helping out. Thanks, we all appreciate it. If you found any valuables in the trash, you can keep those. Isn't that great?
I don't understand that. He literally asked us to help, and he's like, oh, well, we saw you do this, so thanks for that. Like, yeah, you freaking asked me to help you. Did you forget? It was only literally 2 minutes ago. Over by the Yakima farm, we have Ernest asking Mabel for any insight on the bandit Logan for an article he wants to write. She doesn't have anything useful to say about the man, but this.
Well, here's my way in. You'd do best by packing your bags. That Logan's a wanted man, and he likely won't take kindly to a fancy talking, pants-wearing, city-slicking Point Dexter snooping around. No offense.
Since she didn't offer anything, he asks us instead, and when we agree, he asks a variety of questions that we can answer with multiple choices. Depending on what you tell him to each question, you'll either win reputation points with him or lose them. Apparently, reporters don't want the wrong info and are too gullible to realize you're fucking around with them when saying that Logan's sidekick is named Egg Boy. I mean, really. Come on, Ernest. Egg Boy. Afterwards, he speaks with Jasmine, who is one of his books. As he's signing, he asks her what her favorite part is, and it's at this point that even Jasmine starts yanking his chain by speaking like a toddler with a speech impediment, and giving him what for with a review.
Actually, I thought the story this time was a bit contrived.
Eh? Contrived? Wow, such a big girl word. Where did you...
I'm not finished. The characters are paper thin, and if you've even been paying half attention, you can see every twist coming from a league away. I think you've been really writing it in lately. Your old stuff was way better.
Well, little kid, with all due respect, you're a little kid and you don't know anything.
I'm your primary demographic.
At first, her change of speech kind of confused me, because I'm like, does she always talk like this? And I just don't realize it? I don't think so. I think she's actually just messing around with him because he thinks she's just a little toddler. Which is kind of funny that a kid is antagonizing him and he doesn't realize it. Finally, Elsie wants us to help her track down it. I still don't really understand how she got snarky with us before after teasing us with the idea of a creature she knows about and we don't. And then turns around and says, hey, help me catch it. Like, why should I? I will. But really, why should I after the snark? Oh, and when you give her the items, you're not gonna catch it that day. You gotta wait for tomorrow. It's always wait for tomorrow in this game. Alright, so this ends this first part of our My Time at Sandrock 100% gameplay review. I hope you all enjoy it so far, and I'm interested in knowing what you think about the different aspects of the game I talk about. Who's your favorite character so far that we met? Which parts might frustrate you? If you played it, that is. If you're here for the commentary, then grand. I approve. One thing I didn't do while going through the game is state all the achievements I've acquired as I acquired them. So we'll go ahead and touch base on the ones I've got so far here. The officially official achievement is when you successfully register your workshop by giving it a name and ending the quest line for it. The better late than never achievement is from installing the crane lifts so you can enter the ruins. The Mole Masher achievement is from getting over 100 points in the Whack-A-Mole game, which I got from playing with Mian. I actually don't go to the arcade again all throughout the first year unless it's something to do with a quest later on down the line. The Knowledge is Power achievement is from gaining 10 knowledge points, and I think actually putting them into the knowledge tree, but maybe you just have to earn 10 skill points. I don't really know. The On That Grind Set achievement is from using 500 stamina in a single day. Of course, I didn't actually have that much stamina, so I had to eat some food at the Blue Moon Saloon or purchase carryout in order to keep up with my stamina. The financially secure achievement is from getting 10,000 goals. Not outright having them on your person, I don't think, but just earning that much overall. Since I like to beat Jan in the workshop rankings, I really worked my butt off on those commissions. I don't often sell things I craft, though. The Newton achievement is from kicking trees 50 times for materials. And that's all the achievements I have so far up to this point. 7 out of 60. Again, we have a long way to go with this game. And at that, I bid you all adieu. And try not to get in too much trouble when you say, "Not now, Mom. I'm gaming."